Hey everybody, I'm Dr. John Willardsen with trustimplants.com. So today I'd like to discuss, we get a lot of questions on YouTube and on social media regarding the cost of dental implants. And I'd like to go through some photos to kind of go through why it is that the procedure can be expensive. One, it's an investment. It's an investment in you, and it's an investment in your personality. It's an investment in how you feel about yourself. And also it's an investment in your health, because your mouth is the beginning of your digestive tract. Without proper mastication, your digestion has to work overtime. So your mouth and teeth is the beginning of that process. So how can we put a price tag on basically an organ, on a body organ? How can we possibly put a price tag on that process? So I'd like today to go through some of the steps and processes to look at critically, why it is that the procedure can be expensive. So let's take a look at this photo here. So imagine in your mind, how long did it take for this patient to get to this position? It's taken years and years of neglect, breakdown, wear and tear. And so given the fact that it's taken so long for this patient to get to this situation, so how can we possibly transform this patient without some form of an investment, right? So let's take a look at his after photo. And take a look here. Look at the difference, and let's try to critically evaluate what happened. Obviously, we're not going through all the steps and how he went from this photo, the pre-op or the first photo, to the post-op photo, which is this photo. But the process involved in that procedure is one that requires a lot of discipline on the end of the doctor as well as the patient. On the end of the doctor, there's a skill set that has to be there in order to provide the patient with an outcome or a result such as this that will last them the rest of their life. Let's say, for example, you were to, and I've used this analogy on some of my other videos, but let's say you were to purchase a new vehicle and you spent $60,000 on this car. It's a nice car and you love it, and as soon as you drive it off the lot, that car just lost about $5,000 to $10,000 worth of value just by driving it off the lot. And then let's say or imagine that you drove that same car for 10 years and you neglected the car. You didn't change the oil, you didn't rotate the tires, you never washed it. Imagine the value of that car at that point. It would be worth probably very little. In fact, very little compared to what you purchased it for. On the contrary, if we look at this patient's case who started such as this, and now we went through some steps, and we'll show you a few slides so here's one of the steps in order to get to that point. And there's a lot of steps involved, which I won't bore you with those details, but in the end, this is the outcome. So to go from this initial photo of where they started to the photo of where we finished, and the change that occurred in that person's life as a result of making the investment and taking the time out to reconstruct their mouth and do all the procedures, the surgical procedures as well as the prosthetic procedures in order to achieve an end result such as this. It's truly an investment in you. Are there costs involved? Absolutely. You can go to some offices and the costs are much, much less. But you also get what you pay for. We've talked a lot about the all-on-4 procedure versus what we do here at Trust Implants, and there's simply no comparison. And I can guarantee that this person's mouth, if they continue to maintain it like they would their new car, if they were to buy a new car, if they change the oil, rotate the tires, meaning brush, floss, irrigate, maintain this beautifully constructed new mouth, it will last them the rest of their life. So in 10 years from now, their investment, they're still getting a huge benefit from. Versus a car, whereas in 10 years, you're not getting much of a benefit. You can still drive it, but most likely you've probably sold that car by now and you have a new car. Whereas the patients that go through this process and take on this sort of an investment, 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, they are still benefiting from the procedure as they did this the very first day that we put it in their mouth. And so it's tough to put a price tag on that. Like I said, it's kind of like putting a price tag on an organ. How can you put a price tag on an arm or a leg or your eye, for example? It's very difficult to put a price tag on there. Let's look at some other cases. So a patient who has their teeth are broken down. They've, obviously there's some neglect here. And to transform their smile in a matter of literally, a very short period of time, considering the amount of time that it took for them to get to that position, taking a look at the before photo versus the after photo. And so in the before, you can kind of see there's struggle going on. I mean, the patient's obviously not happy with his smile. Their ability to eat has been very restricted. Versus the after photo, their face lights up. They have confidence now. Their ability to eat has completely changed and improved. And again, how can you put a price tag on that? It's very, very difficult to put a price tag on that. The cost for these procedures, of course, there's costs involved. There's an investment that is going to have to be made. And it's really all about priority. It's prioritizing the things that are important to you, and once the patient understands that, and then they make the commitment and take on the investment, and then have the procedure done, and realize the incredible benefit that it is to go through the process, you really cannot put a price on it. And I can say that from experience of doing thousands of these cases where the patients' lives are transformed. They are truly transformed. From the day that I start to the day that I finish, I watch a complete transformation. And in the end of that, having made the investment, every single one of them would say it was worth every penny. Even though in the beginning it is a little bit of a sticker shock, because these cases can go from, $30, $40, up to over $100,000, depending on the case. But and we're very fair with the cost for the patient, so that it's not, they get exactly what they need, and what they get will last them the rest of their life. So the investment is very much worth it, because there's not a whole lot of things in this life that you can invest in that will continue to pay you back. And this is one of those things. And for that reason, I love to do these procedures. I love to work on patients in such a way and transform their lives, because I truly am able to watch this transformation. I'm Dr. Willardsen, and just wanted to discuss today about dental implants and the costs involved. Thanks for watching.